I grew up on Long Island. I was actually born in Manhattan, and I was put up for adoption. And a few years later, I was adopted by my family, who lived on the North Shore of Long Island. And they were part of a sailing family, so that began a theme throughout the rest of my life that will obviously come through. But I went to the local schools, local public schools, and interestingly, when I was in first grade, I was invited to visit a second grade classroom. I wasn't quite sure what that was about, but interestingly, this second grade classroom that I visited had only 4 girls in it and about 15 boys. So immediately when I joined that class, the girls in the class were looking for more support. And so that was very early on when I saw that women and girls can really be a great support for one another. I continued on through schooling. I actually stayed in that second grade class, continued on. It was Shoreham-Wading River High School, from which I graduated. And I was looking for different schools, different colleges to pursue, and I came across Webb Institute, which was a school that's focused on naval architecture and marine engineering. And what I really liked about that was that it was able to combine mathematical and technical skills along with some creativity and some other aspects of the world that I really had come to love. So I loved the water, I loved boats, I loved ships, I loved being on the water, near the water, and so it was a great match for me. And so I attended Webb. Webb had very few women in it, and again, I learned the value of being close-knit with the people around you. After I was at Webb a while, I was looking at different job opportunities as well as some grad school opportunities, and I came across a program at Stevens Institute where I was able to pursue even more of what I loved with looking from the ship outward to ocean engineering and other related disciplines there. So I attended Stevens, earned my master's there, and my advisor had encouraged me to stay for my PhD, as did almost all of my professors there. So given time, they were convincing, and I stayed for my PhD, and I ended up being the first female graduate from their program at Stevens. So I was one of the firsts of many, and every once in a while I am quite surprised that I still am kind of a first when I keep thinking, why am I just the first here? I thought somebody else should be here before me. So, but after graduating from Stevens, I ended up pursuing my career in academia, as you know, and I don't doubt any decision that I made along the way, and I'm so happy at what I'm able to do now, day in and day out. I think Women's History Month is very important because women do comprise about half the population, and if we talk about women's history, the women part of history isn't even very close to half of the history that we know about. So taking a moment to recognize that half of our population is here, has always been here. You know, this is not a new trend. We have been half of the population, and taking a moment to really see some of the contributions in front of the scenes, behind the scenes, and in the future, I think is really important. I think we really do need to recognize that the meaningful contributions, because half of the population definitely has contributed a fair amount more than what we would otherwise see in the records that we see in history books and in other methods. I think Women's History Month is so important, and when I reflect on Women's History Month, it is again a reminder to us to recognize that the more women and others see the contributions of women throughout history, the more enthusiastic and energized women can be to continue to make meaningful differences in the future and do great things going forward. It's a moment for us to just spend some time and empower and encourage this population to really take a step forward and realize that their efforts, their value is important not only in the past, but in the present and obviously in the future. It is difficult for me to choose one role model or even multiple role models, female or male. There are a multitude of women throughout my life that I can point out have left a mark on me and my values and my goals. And I still keep meeting women who are as inspirational, if not even more so. So I seek out role models in almost everywhere I go, because sometimes those role models come in kind of the funniest places. But even beginning in preschool, I remember women being just so inspirational to me in how much they were supportive and kind and helpful. And then even to current day, the women with whom I work, I find so inspirational in so many different ways that makes me want to be a better person. And that to me is the definition of a role model, to want to be a better person because of what you see in someone else. If I could meet any woman, past or present, I have a very long list, so trying to choose one or two that stand out is really difficult, but I would say probably Eleanor Roosevelt and Dolly Parton. So a little bit of past, a little bit of present. What I see in both of them is that they overcame some adversity and not only thrived, but tried to make the world a better place around them and bring goodness and joy to other people. And so I really would love to see how they, managed through some of, the harder times and how they were able to overcome those harder times and be, as I said, such an inspiration to others and learn firsthand from them, if I could. I hope to inspire all, but especially women, for the reasons I mentioned earlier, that we are half of the population, and yet we are a much smaller fraction of the history that we have laid out in front of us. And so I want to inspire women to be able to be proud of their contributions, to be sometimes in the forefront. Much of history, if history does recognize women, or when history recognizes women, often the phrase, well, this person was in the background and contributed to the success of this, and this woman was behind the scenes and contributed to this. I would love to help inspire women to really be forefront and really be able to be front and forward-facing and show the pride of their value and their contributions, even if just a little bit more. I would define leadership as inspiring other people to be a better version of themselves. So that's kind of multifaceted. I believe People have attributes and value that sometimes they don't even realize, and bringing that out and bringing that forefront is a beautiful thing, to be able to take someone's abilities, their strengths, and really highlight them such that they become even stronger is just a beautiful thing, and it benefits that person, it benefits others around that person, and it just benefits the future. So I believe a leader really does need to find and see in other folks their value, their strengths, and just make them even better.